What's going on, YouTube? It is your boy MrBaboon back with a reaction video. This time we are reacting to, and I probably will botch this because, it's me. Why this tiny island in New York City is inaccessible to most people. So, like, pretty much no one can really go to it. We are going to find out exactly what that is and everything. I will have the video in the description, the channel link down below in the description. If you guys want to go check it out, you guys can. Make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. If you guys do like, I got some more videos coming out. I got to record some more, most likely tomorrow, Wednesday. Probably thinking about recording some Thursday, honestly. Depending. We will see, but I'm thinking about it. But that's depending. So we will get to this. Gonna get into this reaction. So make sure you guys grab your drink, your beverage, all that good stuff. Let's see.
Miles away from the looming skyscrapers and the bright lights of New York City, the most populous city in the United States, lies 130 acres of widespread brushland and crumbling buildings. Situated at the mouth of Long Island, Hart Island is a creepy, secluded, and desolate place. It is, in fact, a ghost town, largely inaccessible to the general public. In its dark history of more than 300 years, the island has played host to prisoners of war, famine victims, epidemics, pandemics, hospitals, a mental asylum, a homeless shelter, a jail, and over 1 million unnamed, unmarked dead bodies. This obscure part of the city was recently thrown into infamy once again when it was reported that the island is being used for the mass burial of coronavirus victims. Strangely enough, it's not the first time Hart Island has been used for such a purpose.
I did not know that.
After the island was colonized and torn away from Native Americans who called the place their home, the private island was used as a hideaway home for the many wealthy families who owned it. The first public use of the island was as a training camp for the USCT, a regiment comprised mostly of African American soldiers in 1864. A year later, the island became a prisoner of war camp for prisoners of the American Civil War. Almost 3,400 captured Confederate Army soldiers were crammed into the island's tiny enclosed area. Of these, 235 died in the camp in just 4 months. In 1868, New York City purchased 45 acres of the island for $75,000 and officially turned the land area into a public graveyard. It was decided that the unclaimed and unidentifiable dead bodies in the city would be brought here and buried. The body of a 24-year-old woman named Louisa Van Slyke was the first to call it home, and so began the island's tenure as the Island of the Dead. Soon, the Potter's Field on Hart Island replaced the existing facilities in Manhattan. While one part of Hart Island was dealing with the rejected dead of the city, the other parts were embracing the living deemed unfit for society. During the 1870 yellow fever epidemic, the island was the site of a quarantine station. All ships arriving in New York from infected places were required to be isolated on the island before passengers and crew could go ashore. Those who showed symptoms of the disease were treated at a makeshift hospital on the island, and those who died were buried into the public graveyard. In 1885, the island became home to a poorly managed mental asylum for women, and around the same time a ward for tuberculosis patients was built. Tuberculosis was one of the most deadly and feared diseases at the time, so its patients were kept away from society. After a group of 4 patients escaped from the ward, the Supreme Court found the hospital unsuitable for use. In the late 19th century, Hart Island became the location of a boys' workhouse and reformatory, as well as a prison for elderly men. The reformatory caretakers were notoriously cruel. A 1915 investigation found guards dished out inhumane punishments like isolation and sleep deprivation and forced boys to beat each other. In 1918, the Spanish flu pandemic killed more than 20,000 New Yorkers, and the island was once again loaded with the dead and suffering. In 1924, however, it saw a glimpse of hope, a possible break from grief and sadness. A businessman by the name of Solomon Riley bought a small piece of land on the island with big dreams of turning his plot into an amusement park for African Americans who were banned from entering other New York City amusement parks. He started building a dance hall, boarding houses, and a boardwalk, and purchased 60 steamboats for the operation, but before the plan could be fulfilled, the government seized the land, unwilling to host an amusement park in such close proximity to a jail and a hospital. After World War II, the island was reopened as a prison. A homeless shelter was also constructed on the island and holding around 2,000 unhoused people. Once this shelter was closed, the island became home to a rehab center for alcoholics. The island has also been home to other prisons and a drug rehabilitation center. One after another, Hart Island continued to be used for various purposes, but one thing that stuck with the island permanently was its cemetery, and it continued to grow over time. By the end of the 1950s, the public graveyard had over 500,000 people buried into it, and by the 2010s, the number had crossed 1 million dead. Initially, the cemetery was limited to only 1/3 of the island's land area, but starting in 1985, many AIDS victims were laid to rest on the island. Some of these people were buried in deep graves far away from other bodies over unfounded fears that the bodies would contaminate the rest of the dead and surrounding regions. Due to the scattering of the bodies, the public graveyard gradually took over the whole island and turned it uninhabitable. Since 1977, Hart Island has been an abandoned ghost town, sitting in the shadow of the bustling city of New York. Before moving towards the second part of the video, I want to quickly thank CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video. If you enjoy my videos, then I think you'll love the documentary Art of the Heist, available on CuriosityStream. The 2-season, 14-episode series covers some of the most iconic and biggest art thefts of the 20th and 21st centuries.
Shit.
Apart from that, CuriosityStream has thousands of really good documentaries and non-fiction titles on pretty much every subject you can imagine, from history to science, technology, nature, society, and lifestyle. This one, for example, covers the stories of spy networks during the Cold War, while this unique documentary, hosted by Veritasium, explores inventions that change.
Yeah, I will say I really like the way this the video is set up and how everything is put together with everything. I like that.
Civilization. The streaming site is founded by John Hendricks, the founder of the Discovery Channel, so you can be rest assured of the quality of the content. Furthermore, the kids mode available on the site keeps your kids also entertained and informed at the same time. All of this costs just $12 for an entire year of subscription, effectively $1 a month, if you use the link in the description, curiositystream.com/sidenote, for a limited time 40% off. If you're still unsure, you can get a month of free trial for absolutely no cost by using the coupon code SIDENOTE. Hart Island has been an abandoned island for more than 4 decades, but burials still take place in its public cemetery. An estimated 1,500 people are buried here every year, which makes it the largest tax-funded cemetery in all of the US, and possibly the largest in the whole world. The bodies are brought to the island by ferry twice a week. Under normal functioning, the ferry also includes inmates from Rikers Island, an unusual island in its own right, which is home to New York City's main jail complex. These inmates are tasked with digging trenches and burying bodies, and are only paid around 50 cents per hour for their work.
Damn.
Those who are buried on Hart Island are typically sent to the site for one of 3 reasons: because they are unidentifiable, because their family can't afford any other burial, or because the family has chosen the island to be their final resting place. Approximately half the bodies on Hart Island are of children under 5 years old. A small number of them are medical cadavers. The bodies are buried in trenches 3 feet underground in groups of threes. They are stacked one on top of each other.
I do want to say, I had never heard of this island until this video right here. That's crazy to me.
Other in cheap, lightweight pine coffins. Each trench can accommodate around 150 coffins. Babies are buried in groups of 100 with 5 coffins buried on top of the other. These babies' coffins are no bigger than a shoebox.
Damn.
These shallow graves can sometimes present grim and grisly scenes. Sometimes erosion can uncover some of the remains, exposing bones by bringing them to the surface of the soil. Largely due to this reason and the fear of contamination, Hart Island had been notoriously inaccessible to the general public for the most part of its history. Even family members of those buried were generally forbidden from visiting the graves until 2015. This was particularly depressing for the families who didn't even know that their people were buried on the island until it was too late. The city never clarified that city burial meant getting locked on a desolate island for decades, while in many other cases, families had too little time to claim the bodies before they were sent to the island. Out of more than 1 million buried, the city has burial records for some 70,000 people only, and dates back to 1977. All other records prior to that were destroyed. This makes identification of the trenches and mass burial sites even more difficult. Thanks to the efforts of organizations like the Hart Island Project, the city has since started permitting families to visit the island to pay graveside respects to their loved ones, although even now, visitations are limited and highly regulated. These visits occur only twice a month, and visitors need to have proof of a death certificate before they can visit the site. A visitor can be accompanied by 4 additional guests. No one else is allowed to visit the graves. However, other members of the public are permitted to visit the gazebo viewing area only once a month, on the 3rd Thursday of every month by prior appointment only. The viewing area doesn't serve its purpose well because it's very far away from the grave sites, and even getting there can be tough. You may have to apply months in advance and sometimes go through negotiations for weeks. Recently, the island has been thrown into the media limelight once more. Many unclaimed bodies stricken by coronavirus are now being buried at the site. And it's for this reason that prison inmates are no longer tasked with burying the dead. Instead, trained workers in hazmat suits are responsible for the role. All island visits have been halted until further notice. With mass graves, abandoned buildings, and a grisly history of rehabs, quarantines, and asylums, Hart Island is like the setting from a horror movie. Known as the Island of the Dead, it's a jarring and spooky place set only to get worse in the midst of the coronavirus outbreak. Let's hope the spike in the number of burials doesn't last too much longer.
This is crazy.
This was the story of Hart Island. If you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe for more. And
let me know what you guys thought about the video. I have never heard of this island until I seen this video just now. Let me know if you guys ever heard about this island before. I've never heard about it before until I seen this video today. So that is pretty cool, honestly. Like, I mean, it sucks, obviously. There's a lot of stuff, and it was just, it's crazy to think that. I never even knew about that. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'll see you guys in the next one. Positivity is key. Motivation is key. Happiness is key. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys stay safe. Watch out for each other. I'll see you guys in the next one. Actually, hold up. You know what? Let me. Alright. Now I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys stay safe. Watch out for each other. See you guys in the next one.